In terms of the big, beautiful bill, right? When do you expect that to get done?
Well, I hope soon. The big, beautiful bill, it passed its first test, and now they're going to eventually take, pretty soon, a final vote. And the big, beautiful tax cuts and regulation cuts and all of the other things that are included in there will go into effect. And I think it'll be probably the largest tax cuts in the history of our country, the most comprehensive regulation cuts in the history of our country, and many, many other things, including border wall money. We built 571 miles of wall, but now we can add to it.
That's President Trump last night on Air Force One discussing the big one bill, the reconciliation package Congress is working on. House Speaker Mike Johnson joined me yesterday on Sunday Morning Futures explaining the importance of passing that bill timely. Are you still counting on getting that bill by the end of May?
Yeah, the timing's critical. We have to show that stability to the markets. We have to send a message to the bond market, the stock market investors, to our allies around the world and our enemies as well, that America is on sound fiscal ground. Memorial Day as our deadline is because the sooner we get it done, the better. It will really calm, I think, a lot of the things in the economy and start us back on that path to real recovery.
The idea that you can have a new tax bracket of 40% for the highest earners, are you seriously considering that?
Well, I'm not a big fan of doing that. I mean, we're the Republican Party, and we're for tax reduction for everyone. So, I mean, that's a general principle that we always try to abide by.
Joining me now is Texas Congressman Pat Fallon. Congressman, good to see you. What can you tell us about this big, beautiful bill?
Well, Maria, good morning. And I agree with Speaker Johnson. I think we need to get it done. It's critical. The end of May seems to be the target, and I think we can reach that. The markets, as you know, love nothing more than stability and certainty. And as far as raising the highest bracket, look, the top 50% of all taxpayers pay 97.7% of the taxes already. The bottom 50% only just under 3%. So I think, to be fair, everyone continues to get the tax breaks from the original Trump tax cuts, and then we move on down the road.
Yeah, but what about this idea that some of your colleagues want to raise taxes on the rich, coming up with this new 40% bracket? Are you going to do that?
No, I'm not going to vote for that. I've never met, Maria, a tax break I didn't like. So I think we've got to keep it where it is and really incentivize folks to take chances. Who are the job creators? They come from the top 50%. I don't know about you, but I've never worked for a poor guy. So I'm not going to meddle in this class warfare business. I think we were straightforward with, you know, the way the American people know what the Republican Party represents, and they voted for us. You know, every swing state wants President Trump's leadership, and we're going to give it to him.
What do you want to see in terms of deals with foreign partners on trade? Now we see that Xi Jinping of China is visiting other South Asian nations. He's going to Vietnam this morning, part of a week-long trip to shore up regional trade support, he claims, as Beijing is halting shipments of critical rare earth minerals. And that's a big deal, halting shipments of critical rare earth minerals. Xi Jinping said that there are no winners in a tariff war, but he's also promising stability in Vietnam. President Trump clarified the reported exemptions last night on smartphones and laptops and other electronic products from China. He wrote this on Truth Social. There was no tariff exemption announced on Friday. These products are subject to the existing 20% fentanyl tariffs, and they are just moving to a different tariff bucket. Congressman, you and California Democrat Ro Khanna are introducing a bill to make sure that the government is completely free from Chinese-made technology. Well, thank you. The Safe Supply Chains Act targets tech products through the so-called gray market and requires agencies to buy equipment from an original manufacturer or authorized seller. This is incredibly important. So you also have an op-ed about it, just saying real clear defense, saying American industrial might is crucial to counter China. Tell us more about this. I agree with you. I'm glad you've got this bill, but this is going to take time. You know that. They can't just move everything to America overnight.
100%. This is going to take some time, and this is going to be a gradual transition. But can you imagine, Maria, Nazi Germany supplying critical software, and if they had it back then, and hardware to Britain? I mean, you can't rely on your greatest geopolitical adversaries for this. And we're saying that any software and hardware needs to be not only free from Chinese influence, it needs to work, so it needs to function. So at critical times, it will secure our defense and not be infected with malware as well. It makes sense. It's a long time in coming, and that's why it's got bipartisan support.
You know, I mean, I've been saying this from day one on these tariffs. This is why President Trump had such an incredible vision on these tariffs, because he's looking at everything through a lens of national security. We can't rely on adversaries to get prescription drugs and to get advanced semiconductor chips. So I think, you know, why doesn't corporate America get this? Why is it taking so long for them to actually move their supply chains? This is not just President Trump's tariff. This is not the first time we've been talking about this. We knew during COVID that we had to, you know, rely on China for prescription drug components. That's 5 years ago.
COVID didn't. Maria, if COVID didn't wake us up, literally nothing will.
Right.
Our over-reliance on China. There's nothing wrong with trading, but you can't be over-reliant on your greatest geopolitical competitor. That's just simple. And President Trump's genius, look at 75 different countries have come to the table to renegotiate trade and tariffs, because I'm a big free trade guy too, but it's got to be fair trade. And we have critical mineral shipments being halted by China. We have those critical mineral. We have the potential to mine critical minerals in our own country. But you've got the left in there, the far left and the environmentalists say, oh, we don't want to mine there because of the environment. I'd rather mine it in Minnesota than have it mined over in China. We have to. This is as you said, a national security issue. So we have to look at things differently, and not only look at them differently, but take actions to affect change moving forward.